everyone, Miss Carrie here from Miss Carrie's Creations. Today I'll be sharing some unique ways to use pattern papers in your collection. I'm working with the June Main Kit from Hip Kit Club, which has some great summer textures and patterns. I will also be using some of the cardstock pieces today, and these coordinate beautifully with the kit. Today I'm working with the June Main Kit from Hip Kit Club. As you can see, there is a wonderful diversity of patterns and prints here. Some are more outdoorsy, while others give off a beautiful summer vibe. Included in this kit are some printed fabric stickers, glitter phrases, puffy alpha stickers, ephemera, and double-sided envelopes. All of these coordinate beautifully with those patterns and prints. As I create my layout, I'll bring in a few of the new dies and chipboard pieces. All of the items that I'm using today will be listed in the description below, along with a link to the June kit. When you receive a new pack of paper, there are often a few sheets that leave you stumped. This 4-quadrant triangle was a pattern I was unsure how to use. I love the colors on this adventure sheet, but I feel like there's a lot of open space that I won't know how to use. So I'm going to trim this down into a circle shape. I keep a few cardstock circles in my space that I use for tracing, and this one is about 9 inches in diameter, which will leave me plenty of negative space to work with on my page. I'm going to break this circle apart even more by cutting it into eighths. One of the other patterns I was struggling with was the road trip pattern. For some reason, I have always battled with the color yellow, but I've discovered that if I add it in small doses, I seem to like it much more. I'm going to use it as a frame around my page. In the center, I laid a piece of Summit Snow cardstock, which is a warmer white, and that's going to help break up that pattern. The warm white is also the same color as one of the pie pieces, so I'm going to choose something different for this portion of the circle. I debated on a few colors and settled on the travel red cardstock. The purple and blue are cooler colors, and I needed another warm hue to pair with the yellow. Before I adhere these in place, I want to bring in a darker color to frame the circle. I have added a little bit of Witch's Blue Shimmers to my glass board. This is a paint from my collection, and it matches the other colors in the collection perfectly. I'm going to use a piece of crumpled wax paper to add color around the circle. The wax paper has a great texture, and it often leaves a few random splatters, which also add to the design. I like how wax paper soaks up a little bit of the moisture from the paint. I did forget to prep this cardstock, so too much moisture would have caused it to warp. So that was a very simple background for this page. I'm going to go ahead and bring back in those pie pieces and adhere them in place. I do want to give these a little bit of texture, so I'm going to go along the edges with my little distressing blade. This has a little circular blade inside that can be used to rough up paper. The more pressure you use, the more tears you get along the edge of the paper. Off camera, I went ahead and finished adding those pieces in place. I like how the blue paint looks around the edges, but I feel like I need a more prominent frame and some more texture. I've gone ahead and used the new fringe border die to cut out some strips from the Cave Dive blue cardstock. I want to place this fringe around the edge of my circle, so I'm going to have to trim off some of this solid edge to make this easier to bend. Now, to be honest, I wasn't sure if this was going to work. I have created with fabric fringe before, but paper is not always as forgiving. It took me a moment here to get started, but once I did, it went down pretty easy. I don't know how well you can see it, but I did draw a circle on my background with a pencil. When I laid down the pie pieces, I put them down a little haphazardly, so I knew that if I laid the fringe down equidistant from the edges of the pie pieces, I would end up with a lopsided circle. The little drawing is helping me to line up the fringe pieces into a circle that is centered in the middle of the page. As I continue to place this down, I would love it if you tap that subscribe button and let me know that you're new here. If you're already a subscriber, let me know that you're enjoying today's project by tapping the thumbs up icon or leaving a comment below. I always love knowing which technique you're going to try next. As I got to the end here, I discovered that I was a little short, so I just cut off a piece from another fringe and used that to fill it in. When everything was on the page, I knew that I wanted to add some stitching. At first, I was just going to go around the edge of the circle, but I decided that some wonky concentric circles were more fitting to the design. My sewing machine has an extended table off to the side, so it was really easy to just spin this layout around while the sewing machine was running. I'm going to place my two photos over here on the right. These have been popped up on some foam adhesive sheets so that I can tuck some layers underneath them. Below the main photo, I'm going to add a little grounding strip. This is one of the branding strips from the cardstock pack. To the left of the photos, I'm going to add a little card for journaling and a tag. I will be adding some twine to this tag later, so I'm just going to let it sit here. Above the photos, I want to bring in some florals. These were cut from one of the pattern papers in the kit. Often, I find that floral prints tend to be a little too busy to use in their entirety, so I usually cut them apart and use them as accents on my page. This allows me to select the colors and patterns I want to use to match my design. On this page, I selected more daisy shapes because the pup's name is Daisy. I'm also trying to use white, purple, and soft pink florals. These are the colors that I have more of on the page, and using those colors in the florals creates a more cohesive design. For the title, I'm going to create the phrase, Chaos and Cuddles. The word chaos was cut out using the new alpha die. I layered 3 of each of these letters together to give them dimension. If you have ever had a puppy, especially a larger one who cannot control their ever-growing energetic body, you know that every day is just chaos and cuddles. This little fur baby just turned 7 months old, and she is such a sweetheart. She's currently visiting our house for the week, and I have enjoyed spending time with her. Below the word chaos, I'm using the puffy letter stickers to spell the word cuddles. Now, I'm not really sure that I like the larger ampersand, so I think I'm going to go off camera and move a few of these letters around and use a smaller symbol. So I did change this out for a smaller ampersand, and I like that size much better. Now, I promised myself that I was only going to use items from the main kit, but I just adore these little chipboard pieces, especially the buttons, so I had to add them to my page. This chipboard collection comes in the June embellishment kit. There are some lovely coordinating pieces in that kit, but I think the chipboard pieces are one of my favorite. Now at this point, I feel like the right side of the page has quite a bit of weight that I need to balance out. So I'm going to add a blue chipboard frame behind my journaling. I'm also going to add an arrow, a large bow to my tag, and another button. These items finish off the page nicely, and they add the weight that was needed to the left side of my layout. I'm going to finish adhering all these items in place, and then I'll share the completed layout with you. The title Chaos and Cuddles was perfect for this page of the not so little pup and her mom. I love all the bright colors on this layout and the bundle of florals across the top. But I think my favorite part of the layout is that fringe border. I was so worried that it wouldn't work out, but it added so much detail to the page. I'm going to share a few close-ups of this layout so that you can see all of the lovely details. Today's project involved finding new ways to use pattern papers in your Hip Kit collection. Instead of using the prints from the June Hip Kit in their entirety, I shared a few ways that you can use parts of a pattern on your page. A few of the items I used today are not part of that main kit, but if you're a member of the Hip Kit Club, you do save $5 on the monthly kit and 15% on coordinating items, which can ship free with your main kit. So if you want to grab yourself the embellishment kit or that fringe die, it's worth becoming a member. If you'd like to learn more, I have added details in the description below. I want to thank you for joining me for another scrapbook project. If you would like to see more of my creations, you can visit my channel or follow Miss Carrie's creations online. If you have any questions about this project or the supplies listed below, feel free to leave me a comment. I hope that you have a wonderful week, and I can't wait to see what you create.